Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. We're trying something new. So we've done UFC content in the past. A lot of you might remember. But I think it's going to go smoother instead of doing a live stream on Saturday when it's tough. I mean, the fights are that night. Not a lot of people are taking in contact on Saturday afternoon. They're doing things. So we're going to try recording these on Thursdays, getting them up late Thursday night, see if people are able to get the content better if we do it on that day. So this is the first one. We're trying it out. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to have these guys basically pick a fight to talk about and give us their pick on it. So, Bill, you want to go first for this Saturday? I know it's not the biggest card in the world, but is there any fight you want to start with for this Saturday?
Yeah, like right now, the fight that I have with my favorite underdog is Amil versus William Gomes. Gomes is a favorite at minus 198 on DraftKings. Amil is plus 164. I like the Amil side. He's an aggressive fighter. It's an interesting style clash because Gomes is very low volume, doesn't push the action. So it's a clash of styles, whether he can just stick and move and make Amil miss, or if Amil's just going to keep bum rushing forward, push the action, and impress the judges. So given the price, I'm going to take Amil at plus 164.
Plus 164. Teller, is it worth a shot at plus 164? Do you agree?
I like the pick there. I picked him straight up to win the fight. It's a close one, but you got to love the plus action there.
Cool. All right, plus one.
Sure.
Hold on, let me write that down. I didn't expect you guys to both agree on a plus 164 right off the bat. So, how do I spell that name?
Amil, HyderAmil.
All right, cool, got it. All right, Teller, which one do you want to talk about?
I think I'll piggyback on some more plus odds here. I'm going to pick Douglas Silva de Andrade to defeat John Castaneda. Douglas is now 39 years old, but he's one of the more freakish fighters in the sense of his physical body for his age. He's always been in great shape, but he still has maintained that physique all the way up into almost his 40s. You take a look at his losses. He's 29-6. He's lost 6 times, but it was all by way of high-level opposition. And he's looked good even as of recently. So even though he's getting older, he's still looking good in there. He has great takedown defense, which is one of Castaneda's strengths. So I could see this fight playing out pretty closely. And when you take a look at the betting odds right now, it's pretty crazy. Douglas opened up around a plus 130, and right now he's touching as high as a plus 280. Okay, so Castaneda's been getting steamed, and I really like the plus value there at plus 280. I think it's a much closer fight than that line saying. It kind of has me scratching my head. If you take a look at Castaneda, he's had very questionable performances. Most importantly, as of recently, where he was in a fight with Daniel Marcos in his last fight, and when he struggled not getting the fight down to the mat, he was very timid on the feet, and I question how he'll fare in a stand-up fight against Douglas.
Wow, plus 280 it's steamed all the way up to. Bill, is it, I mean, obviously we're talking about a plus 280. We're not talking about someone who's got a 70% chance to win. But if you can price him out at 35, 40% chance to win, definitely worth a shot. You think plus 280 has any legs?
Yeah, I agree with the pick just because it's a very close fight on paper. So for Castaneda to be an almost 3-1 favorite, it's kind of wild. So like the opening line was correct, where, I guess Castaneda would have been like minus 160, minus 150. Yeah, that's fair. But now at Andrade getting plus 280 or 260, whatever it is, yeah, it's definitely worth a stab.
Is there any chance, and this is someone who I'm speaking as someone who doesn't follow the UFC markets that closely, is there any chance there's a hidden injury or something? Because that sounds, I mean, that's a crazy price move. That's not a few cents. That's pretty extreme. Is that normal?
I think that's definitely possible. I'm leaning more towards people just taking a look at the age of Douglas, which he is just a couple months away from turning 40, especially highlighted in this division where in the lower weight classes, we've actually been seeing it very often as of recently, where these older fighters, you take a look at Cejudo the other week, and a lot of these older fighters in the lower weight classes have not had success as of recently. I think that's more of the reason. But if you actually dissect his recent performances, they're not bad. Okay, his last fight, he lost the decision to Miles Johns. It was somewhat competitive. The fight before that, he looked good against Cody Stamann, a younger fighter. He went out there and he defeated him via unanimous decision.
All right. So it's plus 280. Maybe play the tail end of the market there. Bill just got up. So did you want to pick another fight? Oh, you know what? He told me his daughter was getting dropped off at this time, so he's probably getting the door. So why don't you pick another one?
All right. Let's jump into, let's see here. I mean, I would like to talk about the main event. I don't know if it's too early to jump into the main event.
Yeah, we could do them in whatever order. That's fine.
Okay.
Do it up.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll jump into the main event. We've seen some interesting line movement with this fight. Manel Kape taking on Asu Almabayev. Almabayev has been a very successful fighter, especially even since joining the UFC, still undefeated in the octagon. He's ranked 8th, 31 years old. He has great grappling. I like the Manel Kape side here. And we've seen action coming in Almabayev, so his line's been dipping. Stylistically, Kape has great takedown defense, great footwork. I have him as the most agile and quickest athlete in the fight game right now. I mean, when you watch him, he's literally a video game character. I expect him to get the better of the striking. I was there for his last fight live in Tampa. The type of strikes that he lands will have the crowd roaring. You know, he'll throw some tricky strikes out there, and the crowd will go crazy. He'll help skew him to get those rounds and win a decision. He's live to get a KO. I'm not favoring him getting a KO. I like this fight to go to the final bell. I like this fight to last 25 minutes. Both of these fighters, between like a combined, let's see here, I think it's about 60 pro fights combined, 50 or 60 pro fights. They've only been finished twice between the two of them, and they were both against high-level fighters. I think Almabayev won't get KO'd, but I see Kape winning a decision. I think he outpoints him.
So,
and
Bill,
as far as the bet, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go finish.
And just as far as the betting odds go, so Manel, he opened up on some of these sports books as high, almost as a 260, minus 260, minus 270. And just yesterday, I think he was somewhere in the high minus 190s, right around a flat minus 200, and it's starting to creep back towards like a minus 210. But if you grab that right around a minus 200 with him, I think that's a solid line there. I think he should be more around a minus 260, 270, and he's the next fighter that should be challenging for the belt. If he wins this fight, he should be taking on Pantoja, and he's the real number one contender right now. If you know a little bit about the history of what went on, he had an awkward performance, broke his toe in his last fight. That was a weird one against Muhammad Makayev. Now, Kai Kara France is taking on Pantoja. He's not really warranted of that shot. He's 1-2 in his last 3 fights. I mean, Kape is the real number one contender, and I think he solidifies it here with the W.
So, Bill, you missed the beginning of that. He says he likes the fight to go the distance, and he likes Kape. What are your thoughts on the main event here?
I like Kape in the main event too. Almabayev is going to look to wrestle, but Kape is really athletic and has pretty good takedown defense. He's a really sharp striker. So I know he was saying that maybe he could see like a late knockout or something from Kape, and but yeah, with the flyweights, you kind of always got to figure they're going to go 25. They're not like the heaviest hitters and all that. Like Kape does have power, but he blitzes in and out. He doesn't like put his foot on the gas and go for it. So as a straight pick, yeah, I would just take Kape.
What about what can you get as far as just based on what you both just said? I would think if I can get, and I might be way off on this market, maybe like over 3.5 rounds. If you're saying you're worried about a 5th round knockout, why not over 3.5 rounds? Is that an option? Is that even a playable market?
The regular line is over 4.5 minus 154.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh wow! All right, so yeah, it's priced in. So Kape by decision, because Kape you said was around. Teller, you said minus 200, creeping down a little bit. So if you play Kape and you want to get aggressive, Kape by decision. Okay. And
you could get that fight to go the distance, right around a minus 125 to a minus 140, from what I'm seeing, and just to elaborate, I don't know if I misspoke, but no, I'm not really sensing a late KO personally. I actually believe if he were to get a KO, it would actually be a little bit earlier on in the fight. We've seen Kape sometimes kind of coast a little bit when he feels he's solidifying rounds. He will kind of just point fight and just style from the outside. And I think he coasts, unless maybe he lands a big shot early when Almabayev pressures him and they're fresh, and maybe he catches him with something there.
All right. Bill, pick one more fight. This is just a test round, so I don't want to go through like 8 fights and then in the edit find out that we did it wrong. So why don't we pick one more for the test round, and then next week for the big card we could pick like 8 fights to go through.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with a slight favorite in Charles Johnson over Ramazan Temirov. It's a flyweight fight. Johnson's -125. Temirov came in. He's like 18-2. Came into his UFC debut. Had a nice knockout, impressive, but still a lot to see where he is as far as a UFC talent. Whereas Johnson's on like a 4-fight winning streak. He's lost a couple of like really close fights that could have went his way. He's a strong boxer. Know that he can fight for 3 rounds. Temirov, don't know if he can go like a full distance and fight a hard pace. So I like Johnson just straight up to win. But as a real long shot, I like Johnson in round 3 to win, whether it's submission or knockout, plus 1,400.
Hold on. Teller just went like this when you said that. What the? So hold on. Johnson in round 3 specifically?
Yeah, because he pushes a pace and he wears on guys, and he'll be doubling up, tripling up his opponent on strikes sometimes in the 3rd round.
Hold on, let me find this fight.
And a very important factor there is Temirov has hardly ever left the first round. Okay, he's a Mike Tyson type of fighter. He goes out there and finishes fight after fight in the first round. So he's not really proven in those later rounds too, which is a major X factor.
So, Teller, would you agree, Johnson?
If it goes to the later rounds, I think there's an edge there for Johnson. It's a tight fight. I'm favoring Temirov to once again land a big strike. We saw him in his UFC debut in his last fight. He got another early KO. That's all he's been doing before joining the UFC. He's very short and small and compact for this division, but he's like a super athlete. And from what I've been hearing and seeing, he actually has good grappling too, which with time we'll get to see. I favor Temirov just either getting that KO or even if it goes to the judges' scorecards, just squeaking by. But it's a good fight. It's a close fight.
So what if I took Temirov to win in round 1 plus 650, Johnson to win at round 3 plus 1,800? Just a small bet on each, because if he doesn't land that early strike, like you said, then maybe Johnson gets him in the 3rd. I like it.
I like that.
All right,
It's a way to play it both ways and have some fun.
Yeah. It's about that time of the year where I can get back into the UFC. When college football's on, there's no shot. You got college football all day, and then I have the huge NFL show the next morning. Like I can't even entertain UFC. But now over the summer when there's baseball and college basketball, we're getting into March Madness. When that starts to die down, I really can get back into betting UFC. I enjoy it. It's just on my priority list. It just doesn't make it sometimes. So, we're going to try to do these every single week. Next week, they were telling me is a huge card, so we'll go through a bunch of fights. But this is a good test round. Teller, I know you got a YouTube following brewing over there. Good work. I've seen it.
Thank you,
grow.
man.
So where can they find it?
I appreciate that a lot, man. You guys can find me on YouTube at the MMA Fortune Teller. I'm on Instagram at MMA Fortune Teller, and I'm on Twitter at the MMA Teller.
Yeah, I mean, I know you always had an Instagram following, but I found you on YouTube recently. I was like, oh, shit, okay. He's getting some YouTube subscribers. Nice work. Cool.
Thank you.
So we will see you all back next week for the big card.